Guess what, guys? This was an amazing read for me. Like, this book is just so beautiful. God, and I'm so excited to be sharing my thoughts on this book with you. And it's titled A Broken People's Playlist, which was written by Chimeka Garricks, who also happens to be the author of the popular novel Tomorrow Died Yesterday. This book was inspired by 12 unique songs from 12 different artists, and reading this book, I was just so impressed because this book contains stories that we can actually relate with in your day-to-day life. And the fact that this book was inspired by songs made it so much interesting for me. And like, I will read a particular story and I will go on Audiomack, search for the song and listen to it because I wanted to have a total feel of what the author was actually thinking about, what was going on in his mind while he wrote each of the stories. Before we move forward, I would love you to kindly subscribe, click on the notification button, like, and drop me a comment in the comment section. So just these few things: like, subscribe, click on the notification button, and also drop me a comment in the comment section. I am Chidima Obusimba, and I am the founder of Legacy Path Bookstore. And just like I said earlier in my introduction, this book was inspired by 12 unique songs from 12 unique artists. And the most interesting thing is that most of the stories are sad, but then there are funny stories in between also. But it has to do with hurt, love, betrayal, and a lot of things. And God, this book is just, reading this book brought back memories. One of the stories in this book brought back the memories of NSAS, and that's a book titled In the City by Brimo. It brought back the memories of NSAS, and I'm like, God, to actually write amazing stories like this is really, really remarkable. And one of the stories was inspired by a song written by a song titled Lost Stars, written by Adam Levin. And at the end of this book, I wrote something. And of course, I'm not going to give you spoilers. So I wrote something. I said, finding someone you can really be free with and, love this person with all of your heart, even in difficult moments, you just genuinely love and you're interested in this person, most times is really difficult. But what is most heartbreaking is to finally find that particular person and then you lose the person. Yes, you so much wanted love, you found this person and you lost the person. That story was inspired by the song Lost Stars by Adam Levin. Doing life alone because you lost the person you love is not the same thing as doing life alone because you never found love. When you read this book, you're actually going to understand what I'm trying to say. And one of the saddest story for me, like I said earlier, is In the City by Brimo, which has to do with a young guy who was actually killed, for a mistaken identity. And most times this was what happened during NSAS, and this story brought about sad memories of those videos we watch of people being murdered for reasons that had nothing to do with them, and it was just so painful. But just like I said, I forget the fact that some of the stories were filled with hurtful experiences, and but then one of the funniest story for me is the story that was inspired by a song titled I Put a Spell on You, which was written by Nina Simone. And this particular story was just so interesting because it had to do with women, it had to do with women who got married to guys who love to cheat. Not that they really wanted to cheat, but it was just their thing. And this story really made me realize that most ladies go into marriage with the mindset that men are polygamous in nature, and so they are free to cheat. Not really that you want them to cheat, but you have it at the back of your mind that this guy will cheat. And so they turn out cheating in marriage, and they are just okay. But then these women found a way to solve their problem, and I need you to just get the book and you understand what I'm trying to say. They found a way around it, and trust me, it wasn't a funny way. It was a scary way, but they found a way around it anyway, and that's what the story is all about. And another story, was a young guy whose mother was, let's use the word, a mother spoiled him, and he would spend money anyhow he wants, took company's money, ran away with it, went abroad, spent the whole money, got married, and ended up beating and abusing his wife. And at the end of the day, he had cancer and could not return back home because he felt like nobody is going to accept him. You know the story of the prodigal son, right? So by the time the news got to his parents, he got back home, it was already too late. And guess what this young man did? He organized a living funeral for himself. And so the first time I heard of a living funeral was in the movie Coming to America Part 2, where the father organized his own funeral and attended. And I'm like, what is this? And the same thing happened where this particular guy organized his own funeral, and he organized his funeral a week to his death, and then he attended his funeral, and that was crazy. Like, I was like, before you know it, this will become a norm. Like, people will begin to do it. I really don't want that. I really don't want to hear that. People beginning to organize living funeral for themselves, and I'm like, well, till we get to that bridge, we cross it. I hope nobody does anyway. And then one of the saddest story I read was, I'm going to close with this story of these two friends who got connected in school, their first year, and despite all the advice from home, don't do this, don't do that, don't join bad gang, bad friends, and all of that, they ended up joining a cult in their school. And at the end of the day, one of them had to pay with his life, for just some funny reasons. And it was so sad how they worked together, did things together, and at the end of the day, they could not graduate together because one of them was murdered, by some unknown men, still part of another cult. And the story wasn't funny because the second guy could not live with it. He just couldn't get his mind off it, and every single day he lived with the guilt, the pain, and seeing everything was just so heartbreaking. And I just love the book because the fact that I could relate to some of the stories, because I had a childhood experience of someone, like seeing someone who also was in that particular scenario, but in this case he killed someone else, and it wasn't funny. The family, the experience, the trauma, the torture, the police and everything, it wasn't funny. And reading this, I could actually relate with all of the things that Chimeka wrote in this book. And this is an amazing book that you will love to read. I used to tell people that reading novels is not because you just want to pass time. No, if you enjoy watching movies, then you will actually enjoy reading novels. And I think you should get this book and you should read this book. And don't forget to come back and share a review with me. And finally, I am Chidima Busimba, and I will really love you to subscribe, to click on the like button, the notification button, so you can get notified whenever I drop a new review. And guess what? I'm going to be reviewing the book titled Bridges Are for Burning very soon. I'm not promising you that for next week, but very soon. Just stay tuned and you will get a notification. If you turn on your notification button, you will get a notification when I drop my thoughts on the book Bridges Are for Burning.